My name is Jonna and I'm an Aggie with a plan. Today I'm sitting down and I'm going to walk you through my goal setting process and how I get from annual goals to daily actions. So if that's something you're interested in, be sure to stay tuned. All right, y'all, so we are going to do this. First things first, this is Moxie Horizontal. I've really been enjoying this system. I actually started my year out in a Makselife digital vertical because I had a main planner I was really happy with, and then I realized I needed to have my goals like front and center, like hitting me in the face, and so decided to make a change, redoing Q2, if you will, coined by my friend over at Plan with Kelly. But yeah, so we're doing a redo in Q2. So as I started my goal setting process, I highlighted the things that felt important to me as we were going along. I think these are some things that really stuck out to me. I did a lot of my planning and strategizing stuff in my digital, so I didn't do that as much in this planner. So we hit my actual goals, okay? Some of these are really hardcore, hard and fast, like we're gonna hit them at some point, and then they're done. And then others are a little bit more fluid. So let's go through my what's a good goal for me to break down. Let's see, let's go with my work and learning goal. So this one for me is really focused around my content that I'm putting out. And I know I'm at 140 YouTube subscribers as of the time of this filming, something like that, 130 maybe. I don't know, I haven't checked that in a while, but somewhere in that ballpark. So I understand 1,000 by the end of the year is probably a little bit bonkers, but y'all can help me get there, Quick plug. So if we say, hey, let's see how this fits in, right? So we're gonna flip. Let's flip to April and how they translated into monthly goals. Oh, we're not even at 150 yet. That makes sense. These are kind of where we're at. It's that segmented portion of the bigger goal. So we broke it down a little bit. So I understand by the end of April, I'm not going to be sitting at 2,000 and 1,000. There's just no way. That's not, unless I go super duper viral over something crazy. I just don't foresee that occurring at this point. You know what I mean? But that's okay. I think with our goals, we get so caught up on these big picture things that we forget that you got to start small to get there. It takes time. So we say, okay, by the end of the month, I want to be at 150 and 1,050. It's okay, well, what's that look like on your week to week basis? How do we break that down and make it where it makes sense? You know what I mean? It's how does that really come into play? Let's think through how, we go from one to another and we hit that blank page, but how do you get from 150 to 1,000? It takes time. It takes the effort. You have to understand that you got to break it down. So if I say 1,000, that means I need to do the math and see how many I need to be gaining roughly per month, because every month on social media is different. It's going to take time to kind of figure out grooves throughout each month. If I'm posting a ton, not posting a ton, right? I hope that makes sense. So we go from weekly actions. So this past week, one of my weekly actions was to have 1 reel, 2 videos, and 3 posts. So that doesn't happen every single week. There's going to be a lot of times where I get more posts than that out, or I'll get less posts than that out. But on the daily actions, it's a reminder of having a content section. That's what it takes for me sometime to be able to think and go, hey, I need to have a content section. That way I can make sure I'm working towards that goal. And I think I have one in just about every day. Yeah, a reminder, something of that nature. So when breaking down goals, here are the biggest things I would say. Realize that your goals are going to take time. No goal happens overnight unless your goal is to wake up the next morning. And if that's your goal, I'm really proud of you, because sometimes getting out of bed is really hard, but you made it and I'm proud of you. Second, sometimes you have to realize that putting in the work as you go is part of getting to, it's getting to that goal. It's not about perfection. It's about the progress, and it's about the journey. It's about getting there, because like one of my health goals is to run a 10K. But to run that 10K, we have to understand that there's segments of goals that like break out into that. So here, let's give that example, and let's actually break down a goal together as we sit here. I'm going to actually turn towards the back of my bullet journal for this. That way we have kind of a, here, let's flip a page. Let's go breaking down a goal, okay? So I can talk about these concepts all day long, but until we actually talk through it, I want to make sure you come away from this video feeling more confident in being able to set your own goals, right? So what we're going to do, we're going to have a goal up here. We're going to talk about my 10K, okay? So a 10K is roughly 6 miles, okay? So something I like to do sometimes, and there's a fly in here and it's driving me absolutely nuts. So I go current. Where do I feel like I am currently at within the scope of this goal? Do I feel like I'm at the starting line, or do I feel like I'm already close to the finish line? Ooh, sorry. Pardon me. So how do I feel currently? Okay. In my situation, I can run about 1.5 miles pretty comfortable. Doesn't kill my legs. Like, I feel pretty good after, and I can hit that in a relatively close to my race day target time. Okay. So if I say 1.5 miles comfortably, let's say this goal is by December, so the end of year. Okay. We're currently sitting in April, so we're in the beginning of Q2, right? So roughly, I need to think about adding about 1.5 miles to 2 miles per quarter, right? So that would make sense. So if we want to think about this on a quarterly standpoint, we need to add about 2 miles or so, because by the time we hit race time, I want to be able to run over 6 miles comfortably. That way the race isn't like a big stretch goal. Does that make sense? So if we say 2 miles, so that by the end of Q2, we need to be roughly sitting at about 3.5 miles, right? Does that make sense? So we're sitting end of Q3, plus another 1.5 miles, we'll be sitting at 5 miles. End of Q4, our real target will end up being about 6.5. Okay? So we keep that all in consideration, and now we break it down on a monthly standpoint. So this really works well with terms of like health goals. But there's other ways to make this goal work for you. And if you have questions about a specific goal, I'm happy to help answer as much as I can. Okay? September, October, November, December. Okay, so now that we know kind of where we need to be quarter-wise, so June is the end of Q2, so we're going to put 3.5 miles there, okay? July, August, September, we're going to put 5 miles there, and then we're going to put 6.5 here, all right? So how do we get there now, right? So that by the end of April, maybe say 2 miles, okay? End of May, let's say 2.75. So go 2 3/4. That way we're sitting at roughly a relatively easy jump. You don't want I don't want this goal to really be a hardcore, like I need to run every day kind of goal. Does that make sense? So we go 5 miles. Let's say 4.5 here. Let's go 4 here, right? Does that make sense as I'm sitting here and breaking this down? So let's see, 6 miles, 5.5. So I know the biggest jump I'm going to have to deal with is going to be in this quarter, because this is where I'm going to 2 to 3.5. See, does that make sense? The rest of them are kind of easy as we jump from each one, okay? But now we're sitting here and we have a concrete monthly goal, right? So if we break this down even further, let's go, I'll just break down April, APR, okay? So we need to have 2 miles there. We have 1.5 here. So we're going to go 1.5, 1.75, and 2 for 2 weeks. And that gives us a basis of getting that 2 miles under our feet. Does that make sense? I asked, does that make sense a lot, as if y'all can talk back to me, but you can't. So in the comments, tell me if this method makes sense to you, because this is just how I mentally break down goals, right? So here's how we go to the daily portion, okay? I know that I do not have time to run every single day, number one. Number two, I do not have a desire to run every single day. I know that I need to have strength training in the mix. I know that I need to have rest days. And I know that life happens. So realistically, I know my goal is going to be probably probably twice a week, and then a strength training day, right? So what we're going to do now, we're going to break this down even further, okay? If I know I'm getting approximately 3 runs in, that first run is going to be easy, okay? Second run, we're going to build it up a little bit. Third run, we're going to build it up and hit our target. Okay, and this is if life goes perfectly, all that good stuff. And the other thing I try to keep in mind is, just because I say 1, 2, 3 here, doesn't mean that I can't have a run that's 1.5, then a 1, then a 1.25. It's okay to adjust your goals. It's okay to change your target. Okay? So, all that being said, I hope that my goal setting, how I goal set, makes sense. It makes sense to me. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments about how you goal set. How do you approach goal setting? How does that big annual goal make it into your daily life? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. As always, it's an absolute pleasure. I hope you have a fantastic day. Thanks for sticking with me. I'll see you in my next video. Bye, everyone.